Hi friends, how's your morning going? In this video we are gonna sort an array. I know there's a method sort, but we're gonna sort it manually in Java, right? So if you like, pause the video, try to do that yourself. Little hint, you have to use 2 loops and come back when you solved it. Okay, so what do we have to do? So first of all, of course, we're going to need a main method, right? Public static void with our string arguments. And we are ready to go. So first of all, what do we want to do? I would like to send this program some arguments. I already have it in my configurations. I want to send an array, right? Or I want to send some numbers that are gonna be turned into an array. After that, I want to sort the array, starting with the highest to lowest, and I will also show you guys how to look for the maximum afterwards. But first of all, let's parse these arguments into an array. Okay, so first of all, we have to create an array, and we have to create an integer array. Let's call it field, and this field, well, is going to be a new array with the length of the arguments, right? So just closing that up. So we are gonna say new int with args length. That creates a new array with the length of, in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we can also create a new argument here. Let's make that 50, and then it would be longer. Okay. And now we want to basically, for the lack of a better word, push these elements, these arguments, into the array. So how are we doing that? Well, we're gonna do this with a for loop. We're gonna say for I integer I is 0 until I is smaller than args length. We're gonna increment I with 1. Okay, so this is basically the syntax for the for loop. And what do we want to do? Well, for every I in this field, we want to pass the argument, right? So we want to say integer parse integer with the arguments of I, right? So we want to have integer parse int args I, right? Okay, so this little piece of code, the only thing this is going to do is going to take the arguments and it's going to put it into an array. Okay, so now we would like to sort this array. So after this, right here is the ending of the for loop. We wanted to do another loop, and this time we want to say integer I from the 0 until I hits the field length. We increment I over the 1. And now think about how would you implement the, so now we need an inner loop, right? This is going to be the outer loop, so we're going to, for every element, let me do this here, for every element in this array, right, for each of this element, something has to happen. So what has to happen? So we want to compare each element to j, and that's basically the, if you figure that out, then you have it is I plus 1. And we're also going to go to field length. I'm going to increment j. Okay, so each element will be compared to basically every other element within the array. Okay, so let me show this to you. So let's say we have 100, 33, 43, I don't know, random numbers. And what we're basically doing here is we're gonna say, okay, compare me this number to this number, and then compare me this number to this number, and then compare me this number to this number. Okay, this is basically what this is gonna do. And then we're gonna say if field of I is smaller than field of j, then we would like to change these two, right? And how can we change that? Well, first of all, we need another variable. I call it safe, and this variable safe, just an integer, is for the sole purpose of saving the I value, because otherwise you would override it. So we're going to save field of I within the safe variable, right? So now we can override the I, and this is what we're going to do here. We're going to say, okay, field I is becoming field j. So we have to switch them, right? So, and field j has to become field I, but we cannot write field I because we have overwritten it. But that's why it's going to be safe, right? So this is basically switching up the elements. You can check that. So this is the first for, this is the second for, and then this is the if. So you can check that with another loop. You can say, okay, I want to have the element, so we're going to iterate now above the elements of this array, and we say system out print the element, okay? And if we run that, it should actually give us back the sorted array. Of course, I have to do print line, not print, and then there you have it. You have 100, 99, 80, 50, 33, 12, 4, 3. What you could also do is you could also say you could let that start at I, and it would be exactly the same output. Okay, so there you have it. Start with 22, 100, 99, 80, 50. So you sorted the array. Congrats. And now you also would like to find the maximum. This you can do if you say, okay, I'm gonna set a new max, which is 100, which is 0, I'm sorry. And now you're gonna iterate again over this array. Let's call it k this time, is 0 until k reaches field length. I'm going to increment k by 1. And what is going to happen? Well, we want to check if the field value of k, right, is bigger than the max, bigger than the 0. And if that is the case, right, if that is the case, then we would like to turn the max into the field value. Okay, so what is this going to do? So we're going to go through this array. We initialize the max with 0, and then we're going to say, okay, is 22 bigger than 0? Yes, so the maximum becomes bigger than 0. Then we're going to say, is 100 bigger than the new max, which is 202? It says, no, it's not, and so on. So this is how we find the max. And then we can also check that and say system out print can say the maximum is max. And like this, you find the maximum. And now, if you run that again, it's going to tell us that the maximum is in fact 220. And this is how you sort an array in Java manually and print out the maximum of this array. And I hope this helps.